Hey, great evening, fam. This is your boy, Bobby Patterson, aka Bobby P, coming to you once again with another phenomenal, amazing, incredible episode of the Victim No More podcast. And of course, this is a little bit different this evening, as you can see, because I already have two of my great, amazing, beautiful guests on board. I'm getting ready to bring on another one. And we are doing something just a tad bit different with this episode. I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to catch the Dallas Roundtable that was done during the Mind, Body, and Spirit event a few weeks ago, but that had a different impact. Something happened during that episode, and so we all came into agreement and said, you know what, we need to continue that discussion but bring it to the podcast as a whole episode, and I'm in full agreement. First of all, let me go ahead and bring this other amazing guest on. She's waiting in the wings. Boom! So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce her first. This is Miss Tiffany Booker. What's going on, lady? Hey, look, glad to have you. Glad to have you. Of course, Miss Tiffany Booker is one of the 2021 Mind, Body, and Spirit Transformation Contest winners out of Orlando.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna go on back up there to the top of the screen with Miss Retail Extraordinaire, amazing individual who has an incredible story herself. As a matter of fact, she had been on the podcast previously. My dear friend, Miss Crystal Wilkinson. Welcome. And then last, but certainly not least, and I saved this one for last because this one has a different place as far as the podcast is concerned, because she was actually my very first guest on the first episode of the Victim No More podcast, which was June 2nd of this year. And guess what, family? Believe it or not, this is episode 20 of the podcast.
Wow.
So, it has been amazing, but it's more work to be done for sure. But last but not least, my co-partner, my partner in crime out of the Houston Mind, Body, and Spirit event transformation contest winner, Miss Annie Bartley.
Yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much for agreeing to come on. Dallas was incredible.
Yes.
That event really helped set us up to go into 2022 as it pertains to momentum. However, like I had alluded to earlier, there was something that happened, during that roundtable. Everything just seemed to have flowed effortlessly, even when there was, I guess you could say, a almost obstacle came in the way. But you know what? It ain't nothing like good help. And Tiffany Booker showed up. She said, "What can I do?" and she really helped, came and saved the day, got some things in order for me, and that helped lay the foundation as to what had happened. And what we were speaking about was you dealing with a C moment, significant emotional event that literally got us started on our journeys. And that conversation kind of took up a life of its own. And that's the primary reason why we're back here this evening, because there are many people that are watching this podcast who are either at the beginning or maybe perhaps haven't even started their journey yet, or they have started, but they may have already ran into whatever roadblock there may be, because this is the human experience. There's nothing going to be perfect. Everything is not going to go as planned. And so we got to learn how to call a whole lot of audibles in the process of our journey. And then we have those of us who have been in it for a minute, and maybe we have fell back some, and we're trying to find our way back. So a little bit of everybody is going to watch this. I want to start out with Tiffany, because of timing, and she taking out some time to be on this podcast, and then she has something very important she needs to finish taking care of. But Tiffany, as we had alluded to in Dallas, as far as some of the emotions that caused the motion for us to take action on our journey, to start our journey, it's not the same emotions and the same feelings that we have now that we done been in our journeys for a while. Kind of cover, you know, what helped got you started, but now what is actually keeping you going?
Hello, everybody. I'm grateful to be here. What actually got me started? Um, Being in that unfamiliar place in life where you like, is this what all my life is going to be? Like, really, is this all what my life is going to be? And for those who don't know, the loss of my sister, the death, how precious life was with COVID, all that really is what started. Because before I was like, you know what? I'm overweight. I didn't see it. Let me go back and be really honest and transparent. I was just buying more bigger clothes, bigger clothes, bigger clothes. So I think I was in denial. I was like, oh, it don't fit. Nothing clicked to say lose weight. It was just like, oh, let me just go get a bigger size. It don't fit. Um, but when I put all that together, I really had lost myself. And I think in the midst of situation in life, I had to open my eyes and wake up. Like situations and things woke me up to say, you need to make a change. But what I failed to realize what I was doing was really changing my mind. And in turn, that kind of trickled down into my spirit and then, my body transformation. Fast forward a little bit of what keeps me going now. Because I worked so strongly on my mind, and I'm in a place right now where I'm actually um, doing that personal development to continue that. I had to really get to the core of, Tiffany, it's not just your mind. What is that internal thing within you? What is that trauma? What is that stuff that you just keep covered up that keep you falling and going in the same cycle over and over again? Are you addressing those issues? If you are addressing those issues, then that's going to help you to achieve your goals. Because the reality is, it was like a yo-yo. I would gain weight, I would lose weight, I would gain weight, I would lose weight, I would try all type of diets. But I was never so consistent on losing it. I was never so consistent of being at a mental wellness. I was never so consistent being spiritual balanced. So now where I'm at is that it's not only me, it's like a much bigger picture now. Coming on this platform and sharing this with you amazing individuals here and the people that are watching and how we're impacting so many people across the world, because this is across the world. Our stories, our mission, us coming together to say we come from different things. We have so many similarities, but we have so many differences. And right now, that's what keeps me going. We're do this 12 day challenge that we're in. What the reality was, I gained a little weight back, not a great amount, but I said I have to be determined. I have to stay focused. I can't give up because it's bigger than me. I can't give up. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now in regards to that.
Oh, thank you so much, Crystal. I mean, Tiffany. Crystal, you mind doing me a favor? Pop pop out and pop back in, because it like the whole video and everything is breaking up.
Uh-oh.
But in the meantime, Miss Annie.
Hey there, Bobby.
Wait, I like that. Wait.
My buddy.
My buddy.
Um, kind of elaborate on what Tiffany was talking about in terms of some of the emotions that literally got you started on your journey versus what's going on now to keep you on that path, to keep you focused on your journey, because the same things that get us started is not the same things that really keep us in the race, so to speak.
Right. Well, Tiffany, first of all, you mentioned something that I completely agree with. You said we have so much in common, but we also have so much that's different. And she's absolutely right, because just like Tiffany, I grew up in a very dark place in my mind, in a very dark place. And the thing is, when you're raised with lack of support, lack of encouragement, and you feel rejected, and then you repeat the same cycle throughout your relationships, you tend to fall into traps. You tend to fall into the pits of life. And honestly, that's where I was. That's where I was. I didn't love myself. And honestly, because I didn't have the type of relationship I wanted with my father, I looked for my father in men. I looked for that love that I couldn't get from my father in men. So I repeated a cycle, the same cycle I watched my mom repeat in giving myself away. And so by the time I had my son, I realized I didn't love myself. I realized I didn't love myself. I realized my whole life I've just been playing the people pleaser. And when I wasn't the people pleaser, I was busy cursing people out because I was living on two extremes. And that's my truth. I was living in two extremes. I was either a people pleaser, and I would let things pile up, build up. You all know how it is sometimes when you allow people to get away with something over and over and over. You tell yourself, I can handle it, I can handle it. Then soon when the pipes burst, that's it. And that's how I was. There was no gray area. I was either all in or all out. I was either very kind or I was very cold. I became stubborn, and situations can make you get that way. Situations can make you become more stubborn and cold-hearted. And I also didn't have a relationship with God. So after I had my son, it's almost like his birth was a blessing. His birth showed me my flaws. His birth showed me that I couldn't give him the love that he needed because I didn't have the love within myself. And y'all, that blew my mind, because all my life I judged my father. I judged people when I thought that I was righteous and I knew everything, although I was stubborn and arrogant. I didn't know that at the time. But after having my son, I realized how difficult it is to be a mother, how difficult it is to be a parent. And that was the moment when I knew I needed God. So I cried out to him, y'all. I was holding my son and I said, God, help me. Help me. I felt broken. I was very broken. I could barely take my son outside because of the anxiety, the weight gain. We all know how it is sometimes when we don't look the way that society says is appreciated or appealing. And that's how I felt about myself, especially after having my son, after having a C-section. You start to look at yourself in a distasteful light, even more so than before I had my son. So I had to cry out to God, and it was a different feeling because God wasn't apparent in my life for a long time. And after crying out to him, I started to realize different changes in my mind. After seeking him because I wanted to be better for my son, and I knew I couldn't do it alone, my spirit was speaking to me. So I started reading my Bible. My mind started to change, because if you read the Bible, when you seek God, you know that scriptures really change you. Scriptures challenge you. You read it and you're like, I have some work to do. You start to see your blemishes. You start to see your flaws through reading scripture. And so what I want to say is, at first, my son was the reason behind me wanting to make an impact, not only in my life, but in others' lives. I realized it was less about me and more about him. Then through him, because I started seeking God, I realized it wasn't about me. It was bigger than even him. It was about making an impact in the world. And that to me was too big for where I was, because I thought very small. So I really had to rely on God's strength and his power to realize that I had to be obedient to him. There's an assignment that he put me on that I must fulfill. I must make an impact in thousands of women's lives. That is the assignment he gave me. And when you start to get on that road with God, honestly, y'all, it's not an easy road. Because when you decide that you're going to be obedient to him, when you decide that you're going to walk the path that he set for you, you realize that you get challenged. Things get hard. But just like we say in Total Life Changes, it's not about doing what's easy. It's about doing what's right. And that is not an easy path to walk whatsoever. Because a lot of the time behind the scenes, we're breaking down too sometimes. We have things going on in our relationships. We have a family to take care of. We're busy getting our businesses together. And then we have to every day come on to give all of you what we need for ourselves as well: encouragement, inspiration, motivation, simply because we're saying yes to God. And when you say yes to God, you say yes to so much more than you just saying yes for you. But your yes becomes a yes to so many people. To so many people. I remember when even coming live, I remember I spoke to Bobby about this. Coming live, I couldn't do this. No, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way I could come live. I was way too nervous. My anxiety was, the anxiety that I have. I no longer claim anxiety. It's no longer mine. The anxiety that I had. kept me in such a place where I didn't allow myself to be seen authentically. I hid myself. So now, because of the path God has me on and my obedience to him, it feels good to know that I'm able to step into my authenticity and step into my power. So God is my reason now, but my son was my reason then.
Right. Anybody got a collection plate? Cause oh girl, she
Yeah,
done preached the sermon. Catch the
yes,
message.
yes,
Catch the message. Catch the message.
Glory to God. Glory to God, y'all.
yes,
Miss
yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
talk
Thank you
about it.
so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Bobby, for having me on your platform again. I am truly grateful for you and just our connection. Um, my initial reason in coming in was because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Um, at that point in my life, I was suffering from depression, which I had honestly never experienced before in my life, and I finally had to acknowledge that it was depression, because it was like a dark cloud over me. I didn't want to be bothered with people. I didn't want to leave my room. I didn't even want to be bothered with my own children. And I had a new baby at the time. And I didn't want to be bothered with her. And so I had such a rough pregnancy, which I think it threw me into that, which I was experiencing anxiety attacks. I tell people I felt like the devil had his hands around my throat the whole time I was pregnant. So after having the baby, I still was kind of in a warped mindset and still just trying to figure things out. Even before having a baby, I'm not going to lie to you. I wasn't in the best space, period, mentally, physically or financially. I had been basically being in a survival mode for a long time. I'm gonna be honest, I was raised in survival mode. So a lot of times when you're raised in survival mode, it's
That's
hard
all
to
you
be in
know.
love mode. It's hard to be in faith and belief mode. So I was brought up in survival mode. So I carried that on into my into adult years. Really just 2-3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I just came up out of survival mode. So when I was coming to TLC, when I found TLC, I was searching for some motivation, some encouragement, some just something to shift me, because the spirit within me told me just one day, Crystal, you got to get up out of this. You better than this. You got to get up out of this. So I sought for something. I didn't know what it was, but I sought for it. And I found it, by an amazing woman, Coach Stormy Wellington. And she introduced me to TLC. And TLC, for me at that time, was a fuel for better health. It was a fuel to get my mind right, to get control of my health, because my health was spiraling because of things that I was creating, conditions I was creating in my mind. I never had high blood pressure. I never had high cholesterol. I never was anemic. I never had it was just so many different things I had that I never had. Yes, I had been at my biggest 275 pounds. I'm 5'5.5". I was 275 pounds years ago. So even being overweight then, I never suffered from those health conditions. But coming through that depression, creating conditions in my mind, I had disease. I had disease. So therefore, I was seeking to just really increase my health so my mind would get right. And she introduced me to those products. So that was my initial coming in. And then when I got introduced to those products and I started glowing a little bit, glowing more so on the outside, because I still was working on the inside, but glowing more so on the outside, it attracted people. People were giving me compliments and speaking like, what are you doing? Oh my God, Crystal, you're back talking, you're doing this, doing that. So then I'm going to be 100 real with y'all. I went into financial. My push with TLC was financial stability.
Right.
Because at that time, I was hurting, y'all. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was literally living off of less than $3,000 to my name. And I had, a lot of big bills. I was a big girl with big bills. And so, this company and the opportunity seemed very refreshing. And I said, oh my gosh, I could find a way of living. I could get a way of living. I could get some income and get back on my feet good, just being me and just sharing my story. And that's what I did. And I did make an income, and I
Mhm.
made more income fast than I ever did in my life.
Mhm.
And so within 9 months, I became a national director. Thank God. But at that point, it shifted. It shifted to another reason why I was in there. After making, money fast and all that, you start getting soul ties. People, you start grasping to people, and you start getting, like this Bible said, you get assignments. And I had a lot of assigned soul ties to me. A lot of people were assigned to me. And with that being said, it turned more so into a ministry. And I tell people now, yeah, it's my business, but really this is a ministry for me. And I
Mhm.
had my ups and downs. I even had my transformation of over 63 pounds. Then I had another life scare where I almost had sepsis that took me out in my breast. But the detox tea, no health, no, I'm not gonna say no, whatever. Give the health disclaimer, please,
Right.
Bobby.
No,
But
no health claim.
no
No,
health
no, no.
claims.
Yeah, no medical
But
claims.
if I wasn't drinking my tea, the surgeon said I probably would have had sepsis and took me out because I had such a bad infection in my breast. So I had different situations where I kept having transformations and experiences with some amazing people that was coming into my life, that soon I got obsessed with just the change in people's lives. I was like, wow, it feels good. And I'm gonna say the word obsessed. It feels good to help people change their lives. And before TLC, I already said that it was gonna be a mission one day for me to help people obtain their goals and their dreams. I had always had a mission statement for myself. I said, when I turn 45, I'm just going to be a full-time philanthropist, and I'm going to help people achieve their goals and dreams. And I said, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know one day I'm going to hit it where I'm going to be able to invest into people and help people. And sure enough, TLC put me in that position to help people accomplish their dreams and goals and better themselves. And so now this is a ministry for me. I'm here, and what keeps me going is the ministry, the assignments, the people, just the everyday testimonials of how people are changing mentally, physically, financially. And God is just aligning things amongst my way just to constantly confirm, even when I get down, even when I get like worn out where I want to throw on a towel and shut down and shut off social media and shut my phone off. He always throw me a sign like, Crystal, keep going. This is where you're assigned to be. This is what you are supposed to be doing. This is your purpose. Keep going. I'm going to give you the strength. I'm going to give you the words. I'm going to give you the guidance. I'm going to put the people in position to help you keep going in this ministry. So that's where I'm at now. I'm not going to go long for it. But yes, I love it here. I'm in a ministry now. That's what keep me going.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, I want to give this question to Tiffany because she's short on time. Um, speaking of assignments, speaking of just telling your story, Tiffany, from the time that you told your story on that stage in Orlando to now, uh, what have you realized as it pertains to how it affects people and the importance of telling your story?
Wow. Um, I guess I didn't realize the impact of me telling my story. I was that individual who was afraid to let people in because of judgment, of don't want people to learn so much about me and then use it against me in a sense. Um, I didn't even know what direction I was going to go as far as me talking about mental wellness and the things that impact our culture and our society, that we are so afraid and it's so taboo of a topic to talk about. And after sharing my story and get off the stage and realizing how many people can relate to me, that how many people I actually saved their life, how many people I inspired, it was more of a, okay, God, I know my purpose now. I spent 30 plus years on this earth. I always had a passion of serving and helping people. That's why I worked so many years in the medical field. but I say I now know my purpose because I can relate and share things that, it's not like just going to the hospital, you get a prescription of medication, you take care of it, you're good. These are things that go deeper. What
Yeah.
I shared went deeper. What I shared was things that affected my family for generations, and we just never talked about it. People didn't talk about it. They maybe didn't know what to put a name to it. And many of the things I shared, I was afraid. I was afraid. So, like Crystal mentioned, it's like this is my ministry now too. Like I'm so passionate about keep going because if I can change one life today by sharing my story, like I don't care where I'm at, I'll share my story. Whatever God says, you share, you speak, you do whatever. I am going to do it because I am here to do His will while I'm still on this earth. And so I'm so proud of myself for not allowing fear to stop me. As I mentioned before, and maybe I haven't on this platform, but I had to fast and I had to really lean on God. So I fasted with no food for 4 days prior to me going on that stage.
Mm.
I had no idea. I thought I was just going to talk about losing, 60 pounds, I took the products, yada, yada. I really didn't know I was going to go into my battle with mental wellness, my suicidal attempts, my being frustrated with life, with me being so broken. I didn't know I was going to share that, but I'm so grateful and thankful because everything that I've been through, it happened for me to be able to bless so many people around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So my mission now, it is greater. I want to be on more platforms like your Bobby, and I thank you so much for allowing me to grace your platform to share my story, because there's someone that's listening on your platform that battled the same things that I battled, that battled some of the same things we all battled. No platform is too small, no platform is too big. When you know what your purpose is and you know that what you went through did not break you, and you are the strength for someone else. They don't have to come and tell you. There's so many people that I know for a fact that didn't have to come up to me,
Right.
but I know I impacted them. So I'm so grateful that I didn't stop myself for doing what God wanted me to do, and that He has me doing in this moment right now. I'm still continuing to do what He wants me to do. So I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I put everything to Him. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll just elaborate just a little bit, and then we're gonna tap a little bit more into uh, this assignment deal. For me, I had no idea that I would be doing a podcast when I was up on the stage in Houston. I just knew I needed to tell that story. That story needed to be told. That was a unique moment, um, and I knew that there were certain things that I had to say when I was on that stage. As a result, there have been many that have either reached out to me, or when we go to these events, they will come to me and they say, Bobby, thank you for telling my story, because I'm not at that place to get on the stage and talk about that right now. But thank you for telling that story. So I kind of had a inkling that I knew it was going to involve literally telling stories. I just didn't know that it was going to go to this point. And I've told the story about how this podcast even started. I mean, I'm just minding my business one day, and then God dropped in my spirit, you need to bring back the Victim No More podcast. And it actually had existed some years before, but it had a somewhat of a different purpose, a different audience, but it still overall had this same mission in helping people make that transition from being a victim to victorious. And so it was crazy, because as soon as I got the assignment, I knew exactly what to do. It was like the only thing I really needed to choose was which platform I was going to put it on. Was I going to put it on Zoom, or was I going to put it on StreamYard? And just automatically I knew that some of the guests, a lot of the guests were going to be previous transformation contest winners. where they haven't had their story told in a long time, because they may have won, when they won the transformation contest, the same people that existed in the company back then, a lot of those people, they're not around anymore. So the story needs to continue to be told. And then it just snowballed from there. And it's starting to take a life of its own. But I understood that, first of all, this podcast don't even belong to me. This belongs to God. I just happen to be the manager, the steward over it. That's it. And I really didn't realize the lives that this podcast was touching until I started getting messages from the UK, from France, from Jamaica, from places that, you know, personally I've never been. And I'm like, okay, all right, this is going somewhere now. And I'm just the manager. That's it. I'm the steward. I'm responsible for that part. But I love that this is not only a storytelling platform, but the reason why I stay in the journey the way that I do is because it's so much bigger than me. When I got that revelation, you know, when I came up off that stage, I was like, okay, this is something entirely different now. Not only am I a life changer, but we become literal ambassadors for the company at that point. And you realize that there's a much, much bigger picture that goes beyond selling tea, NutriBurst, NRG. And don't get me wrong, I like getting paid.
Oh, yes.
Let's make that clear. However, the bigger part is that when you have people come up to you and they got tears in their eyes and they say, thank you for sharing your story, or thank you for having this guest on. I saw so and such on your podcast. And I literally had this in Dallas. There are people who are right there on the edge that watch this podcast, and somebody says something that gives them hope. I'm good, y'all. I am so committed to this assignment right here. It's not even funny, because I know there's something bigger than this podcast that's going on. All I need to do was show up and fulfill my part of the assignment. Period. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. In terms of, now we done been in our walk for a while now, for a minute. Your assignment, how has it changed you? Andy, we're gonna go back to you. How has it changed? Because y'all got to understand, I've watched Annie from the time that she was on that stage in Houston to what she is now, what she's doing now, and it's two entirely different people. She's absolutely amazing. She has a platform on Instagram that really caters to women in that hurting place, and she addresses the pain. But the whole purpose of her doing what she's doing is that we're going to acknowledge the pain, but we're going to start making some steps now so we can leave that and make this transition. And I love it. So as far as your assignment, how has that changed you from the time that you stepped off that stage in Houston?
Ooh. First of all, let me say this, because Crystal reminded me. First of all, I honor Bobby all the time. Bobby is a gem. He is a gem, and he is the reason why many people continue moving on in life. Many people, including myself. I'm actually very honored to know you, because you're an amazing man. So I just have to let that out first. I'm not gonna get emotional on here, okay? But when I even signed up to win the contest, I was following God. I kept seeing the email pop up, and I'm like, I don't know. I kept seeing the email. Then I kept feeling this nudge. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. It's like a spiritual nudge, something just telling you that's what I want you to do. So I went ahead and I signed up, and I really let them get to the vulnerable parts of me. I really shared the most vulnerable parts of me that I've always been afraid to share. Because just like Tiffany, I was hiding. I was hiding. In a sense, I was a perfectionist, so I didn't like people seeing my flaws, my blemishes, so I hid myself. And when you deal with a lot of rejection and lack of support in your life, at times you do hide yourself. You become a shell of yourself, and that's how I was. So when I won and I realized I would have to be on stage, it hit a little different. I knew I had to go. They gave me an option to either do it on Zoom or to be on stage, and I kept feeling like God Jehovah was telling me, like, no, you're going to go on stage. That is what you're going to do. So despite the fear I had, my faith in him trumped my fear. And that's something I've realized with God, that even if you feel a little fearful, because it's going to happen. It's happened to all the people that we read about in the Bible. Jeremiah, he was afraid to speak as well. And God said, no, you're going to speak. He tried to run from his calling like me, but no, when God says that he's commanded you to do something, he will give you the courage you need to do it. So I wound up on that stage, and having to tell my story in front of so many people actually shocked me. It shocked me because the anxiety that I had before wouldn't allow me to do things like that. I was too afraid to come out of my comfort zone. But with the strength of God and with his grace, I was able to tell my story on stage. And afterward, it was the many women that came up to me. The many women that came up to me afterwards with tears in their eyes, letting me know that I spoke their story. That's when I realized my pain wasn't just for me. Everything I've experienced, everything I've gone through was so that in me, now I have the experience, because pain breeds experience. Pain breeds wisdom. And because I experienced all the things I experienced, all the pain I've dealt with the men I've dated, with my father, with feeling rejected, even within my family, all those things made me able to have an understanding, a different level of understanding with many different types of women. I realized my pain wasn't just for me. My story wasn't just for me. And I finally realized the power in my pain. Now, a lot of us don't look at our pain as something powerful, but when you realize how you can change lives through you enduring your pain, it blew my mind. It blew my mind because I had no intentions on speaking. But I realized it didn't matter what I had intentions on doing. It mattered what the resources and the skills God gave me to use to fulfill his will, to share the work that he has been doing on me. So when all those women came up to me after I got off stage, and honestly, I was unrecognizable to a lot of people because I had a lot of makeup on stage, and I generally don't wear a lot of makeup, y'all. So, so a lot of people didn't even recognize me afterward, but it truly was an amazing experience because it showed me my assignment. Just like the other ladies, just like Bobby, I always wanted to help people. First, I wanted to be a psychologist. Right. Then I wanted to be a social worker. I also wanted to work and help those who were incarcerated. But none of those things worked out. I went to school for it and something would happen. And a lot of the time when we come across delays and we feel rejected, we feel like, well, why aren't things working out for me? I'm watching things work out for everybody else. Then you start to have that comparing spirit. You start getting jealous because you see things working for people that you think is not working for you. But I noticed every single delay led me to TLC. Every single delay I had led me right to Total Life Changes. And that's where I was able to become Annie B. I was able to be more authentic while I was figuring myself out. And I don't know no other business that allows you to figure you out while you work. I don't know no other business that congratulates you and rewards you for simply transforming your mind, your body, and your spirit. So when I cried out to God, like, help me with my anxiety, please, he said, okay. But I had to get uncomfortable. I had to get uncomfortable. And I was very uncomfortable going on Instagram at 231 pounds and selling health and wellness products. That I never would have done that. And I mean, ever. So my assignment changed because I realized the power in my pain. And we all have power in our pain and power in our story. That's why all of our stories are alive in each and every one of us. I relate to Bobby. I relate to Tiffany. I relate to Crystal. And that's the whole point. Your story isn't just about you, and everything that you've undergone helps the next person who's in their chapter 1 get to their chapter 2. So that's what keeps me going. Realize when I go through my DMs and I'm seeing all the people that lets me know I'm inspiring them every single day when I didn't even think my story was worth anything. I never knew my story even mattered. It didn't matter to me. I didn't matter to me. So once God, just like Tiffany, just like Crystal said, he will send you confirmation that keep you going. I wake up one day and I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I could keep going. And then I get a message. Thank you for inspiring me. And it's like, oh, gotta keep going. And it's constant because he realizes that we get weary. So he has to send you those confirmations to keep you pushing. But when you realize your story can give somebody a yes in their spirit, it does something to you. It does something to you. You no longer want anxiety to run your life. You no longer want fear to run your life. You don't mind getting uncomfortable because you realize your discomfort takes you to the next level for you to continue to do the work in God's kingdom. And so that's why my assignment, that's how it has changed me. It's made me more confident. You know, Bobby had pointed out to me one time, he was like, you kind of fake confidence. And I was like, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Growing up, when you have to be strong for yourself, you have to fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fake it till you make it. So growing up, I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want people to see my weak side. So I faked being confident when inside I was dying.
No.
And now I killed the old me so I can live for God. And that's a feeling that I want over and over and over again. I won't give that up for anybody. So that's what keeps me on my assignment, is knowing that I'm meant to make an impact in women's lives. Yeah.
Crystal,
Yes.
your assignment. Now you've recognized it as now you're making transitions, you're shifting. Because here's the beauty about the journey. It is never designed for you to remain the same.
Right.
This will be a constant course in transformation. I see it each and every day. And I watch certain people. I watch how they move. I watch how they respond. And to be honest, I have relationships with a lot of the people that come on this show. We've either had previous contact, or because of the show, we will develop relationships, because I just don't believe in just connecting with people by accident. So I've watched maturity, I've watched development, and I'm like, they really about to do something big, and I don't think they really see it. And I'll see stuff a long time before it happened, and then when it happened, it's a beautiful thing. And I've watched you, Annie, go through this, and you're still developing. And now I'm watching Crystal. Crystal business is amazing, but now it has gotten very personal with her. It's gotten very personal. We're now digging down into, oh yeah, this is my assignment. And I don't know about y'all, but it feels so good that when you roll up out the bed and your feet hit the floor,
Absolutely.
you know which direction you walking in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't have that luxury. They'll wake up in the morning and they're like, I'm just trying to get through the day.
Yep.
And I encourage people, okay, that's good. Let's try to get through the day, but also let's see what we can get from the day.
Right.
That's an entirely different level of living. That's part of grasping the abundant life, and part of that abundant life is really walking in your assignment. So, Crystal, where are you now? What, like, your assignment? How and where do you see this taking you?
Where I'm at now is a God-fearing, a God knowing that God is within me. There's nothing that I cannot do. Having confidence in myself, having true love for myself. That alone, uh, going into that, walking in that, has just allowed me to see myself in such a bigger light than what I am today. And right now, I'm all about just helping others push through the pain, overcoming, and like Annie say, learning that it's power in the pain, it's purpose in the pain. One thing about me, like I said, I was in survival mode. I always knew how to survive something. Ever since down to being 7 years old when I experienced my first traumatic experience, and I kept having experiences after that, and I always able to get through it. A lot of people didn't even know all the things. My parents didn't even know all the things that went on, over the years, because I was that type of person, able to survive it and sweep it up under the rug and keep going. And I was introduced to God when I was at a young age. And, you stray away from it. But I do believe when your foundation is there, you will always come back to it. So I came back to it and got closer and closer. But right here at TLC, I'm just all about helping, empowering men and women to be their best selves. Don't settle for what society and what, I love our parents, but what they were taught. A lot of our parents was not taught that we
Right.
can be anything we want to be. We are great beings. We don't have to settle for mediocrity. We don't have to believe what the TV and what this and what that church tells us. It's bigger than that, especially with God being within us. So I'm all about empowerment of men and women. And it starts with the mindset. And to have a healthy mindset, you got to have a healthy inside. And I mean, you got to love on yourself. And it's all connected, mental, physical, and then the manifestations of your surroundings, bringing on that living life of abundance. So right now, I'm here to empower men and women to live their best lives, being authentically them, not being what society wants us to be, and knowing that whatever you want lies right over there. You just got to believe it and go get it. It starts with a mindset. So that's where it has shifted me. Hopefully I answered that question right, but that's where I'm at right now.
It's no right or wrong answer. It's your answer.
Exactly. You're right.
And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. For me, being in a position, in a place where I am, I'm still, and this is just a transparent moment, I'm still grasping the influence that I have. So there's responsibility that comes along with that. But in the process of dealing with this, I also still have to work on me. And so I guess maybe about a week or so ago, I had a moment, because I had spent a good portion of my life, as I describe when I tell my story, the rescue guy. And one of the big reasons why the rescue guy existed is because he really didn't see the value in himself. He didn't love himself. So I remember I'm right back here at this desk, and I'll just go back and I reflect. And I do a lot of reflecting now. And I started really thinking about the love I have for God and how it has really helped me hold on and stand in some circumstances that a lot of folk would have given up. And then I had a revelation. And a lot of folks already gotten to this point, but you got to understand, everybody don't have the same journey. And I speak and I show people God's love. But it's another thing when it actually is revealed to you for you. And I had this revelation. I said, if he resides in us and I love him, then what sense does it make for me not to love myself? And I just sat here and I said, you know what? I love him, but I also love me. And I kept repeating that. I love me. I love me. I love me. I love me. And I had a moment, because there was a time where I couldn't authentically say that, and
We all been there. We all been there, Bobby.
didn't know I was gonna go here, but I'm here now.
Yeah.
And I don't mind being emotional. because part of the story that I haven't told, you can't tell everything on stage, and everything ain't not supposed to be told in every season. But I experienced something when I was in the Navy where I literally seen a fatality, and I just put it that way, right in front of my face. And it affected me so bad that I wasn't able to cry for 3 years. I couldn't have that emotion. It shocked me that bad. So when tears drop now, I have a new appreciation for them because it's letting me know I'm able to feel. But I want everybody to understand, and especially those of us who are a part of Total Life Changes. You hear us talk about the company so much, and I'm gonna go into a place of gratitude, and that's how I really want to end this show. And I'm gonna go first. I shared something with Mr. John Le Carre about a week ago, and I thanked him, and also at the same time was thanking Mr. Jack Fallon for providing the opportunity, the business, but more importantly, the environment where you're able to really develop this healing of your mind, body, and spirit. You get repaired physically, by using the products, and you own your journey, and that's very physical. But more so from a spiritual standpoint. That's why I tell people all the time, what you see of me on the outside is nothing but a manifestation of the work that is taking place on the inside. And we're in an environment where we're able to grow, where we're not judged, when there's not this crazy expectation that you have to be a certain way, because everybody's journey matters. Everybody's story matters. And I was just thanking him and Jack for providing that environment. There's a lot of companies that do not have that, period. This is a unique opportunity. It's a unique place. And I know I'm in the right place, because what I'm doing now, I couldn't do anywhere else. This would not fit nowhere else. That's why it's so important. And I am a huge advocate and teacher of understanding your assignment. I'm that dude. I'm the assignment dude. I am the dude that would tell you to tell your story, because I understand how important that is. And so I have so much gratitude for being able to be in the place that I'm in right now. I understand and I appreciate my uniqueness. I'm like no one else. And everybody else should have that same attitude and be bold with it. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. You want to get your joy robbed of you, well, that's the quickest way of doing it. Is always comparing yourself to somebody else, or comparing your story to someone else, or comparing your journey to someone else. Well, I didn't lose as much, or I haven't lost as much weight as so and so, or Bobby, my story is not as good as yours. What do you mean by that? You had to pay a price for where you are right now, and you're going and you're struggling and you're fighting just like everybody else. No, your journey, your story matters. Don't discount yourself that way. Don't cheapen yourself nor your experience or the price that you have paid that way. So when you see these stories on this platform, oh, it's real. Oh, it's very, very real. There are stories that y'all will probably never hear on this platform that are shared with me personally. And that's why I have so much love and appreciation for the folks that have trusted me enough to come on this podcast. Because I know there are some folks out there that they need to see and hear. I know it. The rest of the stuff will fall into place. But this is a platform of hope. This is a platform of gratitude. So I appreciate each and every one of you that have come on this podcast to share. And I'm already thanking all those that are coming in advance. And some of y'all are repeat. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So that's what I'm grateful for. Whoever want to go first, go first, because I got to get myself together. Help me.
Go ahead, Andy.
In 2 minutes or less.
Sure. I won't be long. You know, I like to talk, but I do. Yeah, I found the love for talking that I didn't even know I had in the past. That's all due to God's work. But I'm very grateful. Bobby touched my heart just now because he said he realized he didn't love himself authentically before, and I got teary-eyed because that was my story. That's so many of our stories. You know, we're so busy trying to love everybody else. We're so busy trying to rescue everybody else, trying to save everybody else. So when you finally find that inner love that God shows you should have been there the whole time, it makes you look at yourself so much more different. Not that you think yourself higher than anybody, but you just think of yourself as higher inside. You know, and I'm grateful that God has the ability to pull me from where I was. Because every day I kept asking myself, this cannot be my life. This cannot be my life. So to reach a point where I'm grateful for my life, grateful that because of his power, I'm able to overcome anxiety. The way my anxiety was, you guys, it was so bad. It was so bad. So when I'm saying I'm so grateful and I have so much gratitude for all that he's done in changing me, in shaping and molding me, when I never thought it was possible, because I used to shame God in the past, because I didn't realize that everything I've gone through was happening for me, not to me. That's a whole different mindset. A whole different mindset when you're able to look at your pain differently. So I'm grateful that he's been removing the scales from my eyes so that I can see things the way he sees things, so I can see myself the way he sees me. I'm grateful for total life changes. I'm grateful for the amazing people I've met through total life changes. Bobby, Crystal, so many others who have impacted my life by showing me that there's things I never thought that I could do that I could do. I watched my mother not live out her life, and I repeated that cycle. So many of us repeat a cycle just waiting there for us to press the replay button. And that's what I did. I just repeated my mother's cycle. So now that I'm able to show her a different way to live, I'm grateful to be the example. I'm grateful that Total Life Changes has given me the confidence to be the example in many people's lives. So that's why I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here tonight. I'm grateful to be in the presence of you beautiful souls. And I'm just happy. I'm happy. I'm not always happy, but I'm happy. I'm happy that God is using me, you know. So yeah, that's what I'm grateful for, you guys. That's what I'm grateful for.
All right. I am grateful for another chance at life. If you only knew, I'm grateful to be here with the right mindset. I never could have imagined that my mind would be the way it is now, that my attitude would be the way it is now. I never could imagine that in the past. Like I said, through the trials and tribulations and the situations, you know, I'm just glad I'm out of that point in my life and out of the victimization that I put myself in for years because of the things that I experienced. You know, so I'm just grateful for God to just give me another shot at life. This is the rebirth for me again. It's another rebirth for me again. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity. Oh, my lights went out. But I'm grateful for just being in position here with TLC with these amazing products that not only is changing me on the outside, but mentally and putting the connections of people, just aligning the right people up with me with my destination. So
right.
I'm grilled. That's why every day I just say I'm grateful. I say it on a post somehow. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful because I know that I could have been dead and gone. My mind should have been gone. I used to be on so many drugs, alcohol. It was crazy and just in a terrible place mentally. So I'm beyond grateful just to be right here. I am. And just helping other people, guide them amongst their journey. And if I can help avoid this situation or help them maneuver through this situation or that situation, that's a win. That's a win. I'm a vessel. I understand that I'm a vessel and I'm here to be used by God. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than my family. It's bigger than my kids. You know, people, you say you live for your kids. You live. No, I live for what God wants me to do. You know, so I'm just grateful.
And last but not least, I wanted to say this last piece of being grateful for those of you who have been rocking with me since day one, watching the podcast, whether it be live or on replay. Thank you, because you could be spending your hour, a little bit more than an hour, doing something else or watching someone else. So you have no idea how much your support means to me. I also want to thank those of you who have supported me. When I launched the merchandise, I think it's been about a month now. Folks that have gotten T-shirts and other things, I appreciate you. As a matter of fact, that link is sitting in the chat comments right now. Thank you for just allowing me to grow this podcast right in front of the world. And there are some big things coming. Trust and believe. Now, next week is going to be a little bit different. First of all, it will not be broadcast live on Facebook nor YouTube. I am going to do an exclusive show for Instagram because unfortunately we can't stream live simultaneously to Instagram while I'm doing this. But there's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing next week, and it's helping people tell their stories for the first time. So that's going to be a little bit different. The time will be different. I'll probably start an hour early on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, please follow me because you do not want to miss that show either. But it's time for that show to happen. But look, family, I appreciate each and every one of you that have taken the time out to watch this podcast this evening. My time is up. I thank you for yours. And until next week, peace. Y'all hold on.